First at 9 this Wednesday, the 5th of November 2025. Readjustment. Central Bank begins reviewing inflation target as the 5% target is set to expire in September 2026. Post-struggle. 31 individuals, including former MPs, to be indicted over the Gota Go Gama attack. Petitions against former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and Namal Rajapaksa withdrawn as criminal proceedings are unlikely. Education standoff. Teachers and principals threaten island-wide trade union action if the government extends school hours until 2 p.m. Maritime milestone. The Colombo East Container Terminal launches inspections of large vessels, marking a major step in Sri Lanka's port expansion efforts.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9 on Derana News Channel, Sri Lanka's most trusted news source. I'm Tatya Arnayaka, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. We begin with your top story. The Attorney General apprised the Supreme Court of his intention to file indictments against 31 individuals implicated in the May 2022 attack on the Gota Go Gama protest site at the Golf Face Green. Meanwhile, all parties mutually agreed before the court to withdraw the fundamental rights petition against former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and Namal Rajapaksa, as no criminal proceedings are anticipated to be instituted against them.
The People's Struggle movement, which emerged in April 2022, marked a significant wave of public dissent against former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's administration amid Sri Lanka's deepening economic crisis. As demonstrations continued, violence erupted on the 9th of May when protesters at the Gota Go Gama protest site at the Golf Face Green were attacked. Yesterday, the Supreme Court took up for consideration 5 fundamental rights petitions filed by a group of protesters who alleged that law enforcement authorities failed to prevent the attack and neglected their duty to uphold the rule of law, thereby violating their fundamental rights. The matter was heard before a 3-member bench comprising Chief Justice Preethipadman Surasena, Justice Shiran Gunaratne and Justice Achala Vengapuli. Senior State Counsel Sajith Bandara, representing the Attorney General, informed the court that 31 individuals implicated in the attack have been identified and indictments are expected to be filed shortly. He further revealed that several former members of parliament were among those identified. Additionally, the State Council noted that then senior DIG Deshabandhu Tennakone would face charges for failing to act during the incident. The court was also informed that all parties had agreed not to proceed with the petitions against former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and Namal Rajapaksa, as no criminal proceedings would be instituted against them.
ඔබේ සම හඳුනාගෙන ඖෂධීය ශාකසාරමේ forever face wash එකක් භාවිතා කරන්න. අප වෙනුවෙන් කැපවූ ලංකාවේ අංක 1 dialogue.
Police suspect that the chairman of the Board of Trustees of Modara Devalaya in Ambalangoda, who is also the brother-in-law of underworld figure Karandaniya Sudha, was shot dead in an act of revenge against Karandaniya Sudha, who is currently hiding abroad. Investigations have revealed that the shooting was carried out by the son of the man responsible for killing members of Karandaniya Sudha's family in Meetiyagoda last May.
The chairman of the Board of Trustees of Modara Devalaya in Ambalangoda was shot dead near the Ambalangoda Municipal Council's main library around 10:30 am yesterday. Footage from a nearby CCTV camera captured the chilling sequence of events. The victim, who was riding a motorcycle, was chased by a red car. The car rammed into the motorcycle, throwing the rider to the ground. Immediately after, a gunman stepped out of the vehicle, pursued the fallen man and shot him multiple times before fleeing the scene. Police investigations suggest that the killing was carried out as revenge for the fatal shooting of a man on May 4th in Tavern at Tambahitiya, Manampitiya, Meetiyagoda. This murder was reportedly orchestrated by the faction of the underworld figure Karandaniya Sudha, who is believed to be hiding abroad. Authorities suspect that Sudha's brother-in-law was targeted as retaliation. The key suspect in the murder, identified as Isuru, the son of Mahadumanalin, who was the victim in the Meetiyagoda incident, had allegedly made a phone call to a cousin of Karandaniya Sudha abroad, claiming responsibility for the act and boasting, "I killed your father because your father killed mine." Isuru has since gone into hiding. On the directives of the Southern Province Senior DIG Kitsiri Jalat, a large-scale search operation has been launched to apprehend him. The operation is being conducted under the supervision of Alpitia Division Senior Superintendent of Police Lucky Randaniya.
Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe claims that the country's top monetary regulator has begun reviewing its inflation target to assess the possibility of revising it. The governor's remarks precede the expiration of the agreement between the government and the central bank to peg the inflation target at 5%. The central bank chief also claims that a final decision on a revised inflation target can only be made after thoroughly analyzing the relevant data.
What is the reason for the
failure
to achieve the target?
No, obviously, I think we explained several times. It's clearly see the deviation below zero is coming mainly from the energy sector. There has been a significant volatility in prices through electricity tariff adjustments.
Yeah, so
that is nothing to do with the monetary policy. Clearly mentioned and shown the sources of this deviation. Where it coming from the food prices, energy prices, those are beyond the monetary policy control.
Are you telling me that the government should not pursue a lower trade policy?
No, we are not. We are not saying that.
The answer from an independent
This is
central
the
bank,
explanation.
What is the answer for the deviation? We ask. You can't put the blame on the fiscal and the supply side, which have nothing to do with the money.
I mean, you need productivity improvements to grow this economy. Central bank can only do very little. But beyond that, on this case, what about the exchange rate? I mean, the exchange rate appreciation obviously had a huge impact on the reduction on inflation. And whose responsibility is that?
Yes, again, the exchange rate management also part of the monetary policy. Monetary policy is not only the interest rates, other one is the letting the exchange rate adjust based on the demand and supply. That will also transmit into the general price levels. So exchange rate will take care of the external demand part. Interest rates will take care of the domestic demand part, which is much larger.
If you look at some of these other comparisons, everybody is less than us. We seem to be the only country outside of Mongolia that is at 5%. But the question now is whether we can do better. When are we going to start that conversation?
We are already working on that because 3-year period is ending in September next year. 2026 is the period we can understand MOU with the government, Ministry of Finance and Central Bank. So then we have to review that by next September. So we are now working on that doing survey. This is the first regime of the inflation target regime, first 3 years. And question is that are we going to reduce it within the 3 years? So a lot of countries, they have basically waited until we stabilize and then gradually going down to a stable path. There are several other factors we need to consider. In my personal view, we should be gradually reducing the target towards when we develop the economy, when we have much more control on the CPI basket, and we have much more efficient monetary transition mechanism, more financial intermediate process is much more stronger in terms of monetary effectiveness. Then we should be bringing down the inflation from our level of development 5% to say 4%, 3% over a period of time.
The Vatican's Foreign Minister Archbishop Paul Richard Gallagher commended Sri Lanka's proposed education reforms, noting that education is the new name for peace, hope and community development. He made these comments during a meeting with Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya. At the meeting, the Prime Minister affirmed that arrangements would be made to extend a formal invitation to Pope Leo XIV to visit Sri Lanka after Archbishop Gallagher revealed that His Holiness is considering a visit to the island.
The Secretary for Relations with States and International Organizations of the Holy See, Archbishop Paul Richard Gallagher, met Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya at Temple Trees recently. Discussions centered on education, reconciliation and international relations, with the Prime Minister outlining the new education reforms being advanced under the government's policy framework. Archbishop Gallagher commended these initiatives, drawing parallels with the Holy See's global efforts such as the Jubilee for World Education, noting that education is the new name for peace, hope and community development. Addressing the theme of reconciliation, the Prime Minister elaborated on the government's inclusive approach to fostering unity and safeguarding the rights of all communities, stressing the importance of continuous dialogue and innovative thinking in sustaining harmony. Archbishop Gallagher in turn lauded this vision and emphasized the need to strengthen the judiciary, transparency and public trust as foundations for sustaining international confidence. Archbishop Gallagher informed the Prime Minister that His Holiness Pope Leo XIV is considering an official visit to Sri Lanka, whereupon the Prime Minister affirmed that arrangements would be made to extend a formal invitation.
Do what you do, let the world look up to you. Shoot what you see, be who you wanna be. Search with a smile, create your own style. Gemini Live, make moments come alive. Be anywhere, rock anytime. With awesome AI by your side. Be anywhere, rock anytime. Be brilliant, be always intelligent. Download fast, stream it all night. One tap, move, everything feel right. Snap it clean, edit like a pro. Smarter with Gemini, let the magic flow.
Introducing Samsung Galaxy A17 5G. The power to be always intelligent.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa met Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar today during the second day of his official visit to India. The opposition leader also visited the Indian Agricultural Research Institute, where he held discussions aimed at strengthening the bilateral cooperation between the two countries in the agriculture sector.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, who is currently on an official visit to India, met Indian Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in New Delhi yesterday. Today, the opposition leader met the Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. Their discussions focused on the India-Sri Lanka partnership, regional stability, connectivity, mutual prosperity, and the shared commitment of both nations to achieve these goals. Premadasa also held discussions with the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, Om Birla, focusing on further strengthening parliamentary solidarity. Subsequently, the opposition leader Premadasa met parliamentarian and senior member of the Indian National Congress, Dr. Shashi Tharoor. Views were exchanged on strengthening democratic values, deepening relations between Sri Lankans and Indians, and enhancing cooperation between the two countries. The opposition leader also visited the Indian Agricultural Research Institute in Pusa, New Delhi, where he was warmly welcomed by Joint Director of the IARI, Dr. Chinnusamy Viswanathan, and several senior officials. The meetings focused on strengthening cooperation between Sri Lanka and India in agricultural research, technology exchange, and innovation.
So we believe that agriculture performs an important role in human life, in human development, and economic growth. So I believe today's dialogue will result in better cooperation in the agriculture sector between our two countries.
Leader of the Sarva Jana Balaya, Dilip Jayavira, calls for the establishment of an entrepreneurial state to avoid Sri Lanka being driven to further decline by a narrow-minded government. Speaking at a public meeting today, Jayavira emphasizes that to truly conquer the world, the spirit of entrepreneurship must be nurtured in children at an early age.
The Sarva Jana Sabha of the Salpitigama electorate of the Ampara district was inaugurated today under the patronage of Sarva Jana Balaya leader, parliamentarian Dilip Jayavira.
During the past 76 years, no one has even mentioned entrepreneurship as a way of strengthening the country's economy. It was Dilip Jayavira who first brought this idea forward. We are confident that we can develop the nation because we have risen from the grassroots. We stepped into politics with a clear set of plans designed to move the country forward. If as a nation we fail to nurture the minds of our children from their earliest years, how can we expect future generations to compete in a rapidly changing world? There was a time when we produced goods like dishware and exported them abroad. Today, sadly, we send our own children overseas for domestic work. Many of them fly to Korea and even take exams just to qualify to work there. This is because South Korea built an entrepreneurial state, the very concept we are now promoting. Their government supported private entrepreneurs instead of discouraging them, and that's why they succeeded with an entrepreneurial mindset. In contrast, the current narrow-minded government is driving the country further downhill. We stand for something different. We aim to establish a stable and sustainable source of income for every citizen.
With that, here's a look at some thoughts shared in the political arena today.
The government slogan is a wealthy nation, a beautiful life. We intend to develop the country massively in 2026. A budget targeting to achieve that goal will be presented on the 7th of November. The IMF has proposed to introduce a property tax from 2027 or 2028. Our economic indicators have been estimated after taking the property tax into consideration. We expect the President to explain how this new tax will be imposed, how it will affect the people, and how it will be collected by local government institutions. The IMF has added the property tax to our income from 2027 onwards. The government is continuing the IMF plan. There is nothing wrong with that. However, they cannot even implement the plan properly. Foreign reserves have collapsed. The rally by the opposition coalition on 21st November should focus on opposing the government's actions and pushing them to take swift measures. The opposition is worse than the government sometimes. Some parties will join the rally on the 21st, while others state that they will support the rally but will not join it. We have to abide by our party's decision. However, we heartily bless and wish for the success of this collective movement against the government. The Samaki Jana Balavege may join the opposition rally on November 21st. Even if the party does not officially participate, SJB supporters from rural areas are expected to attend. Several political parties have withdrawn from the rally. It might be better to rebrand this rally as one focused on eradicating the country's drug menace. Political unity is essential to raise the people's issues before the government. It is still uncertain which party will extend their support. The Sri Lanka Podujana Perumana will continue to stand as the main party representing the people. It is not the responsibility of the opposition to simply hold strikes or rallies. They must also put forward a proper plan to address public concerns. The goal is not to help anyone gain power, but to ensure the people's issues are resolved.
The Ceylon Teachers Union threatens to launch island-wide union actions if the government doesn't withdraw its decision to extend school hours until 2 p.m. Representatives of the alliance revealed their stance on the decision during a seminar in Colombo today.
When the government is attempting to improve the country's education sector with the assistance of India, I would like to remind our Education Minister that according to the 2025 UNESCO Education Index, India's education is ranked at 112. Sri Lanka holds the 89th position in the index. They are attempting to develop the country by implementing the education system of India, whose education standards are lower than ours. We oppose the decision to extend the school hours till 2 p.m. based on scientific grounds. We are not opposing it because we cannot stay till 2 p.m. We are opposing because the extension will cause unbearable mental defects in children and create slaves of labor. We have written to the Education Minister to inform her that the decision to extend school hours must be withdrawn before the 7th of November. If the decision is not reversed, we will all report sick leave for a day in the first week of December to convey our stance. We also urge other teachers and principals trade unions to join us in defeating the government's arbitrary actions. When the trade union actions are being launched, the government will attempt to suppress them.
Welcome back to First at 9. Now taking you to more local news. The special operation to relocate wild elephants in the Hambantota and Anuradhapura districts continued today. The local residents called on the government to sustain these efforts despite concerns raised by the environmentalists and zoologists.
A project to drive away herds of wild elephants living outside protected areas in the Hambantota and Anuradhapura districts commenced on the 2nd of November. During the mission to drive away wild elephants living in Mahayilupallama, Kalediulwava, Maduruwagama, Sirikkulama and Puliyankulama of the Anuradhapura district, around 20 wild elephants were identified by authorities. The identified wild elephants were then safely led to the Lanka-UAE conservation area. Authorities confirmed that 2 wild elephants that strayed away from the herd were spotted at the Field Crops Research and Development Institute located in Mahayilupallama. The 2 elephants are expected to be directed to the Lanka-UAE conservation area tonight. Meanwhile, yesterday the authorities took steps to drive away wild elephants living in Liangastota, Abadavila, Madunagala, Koggala and several other areas within the Hambantota district to the Hambantota Elephant Management Reserve. An isolated wild elephant in Abadavila and 2 wild elephants located in Madunagala were led to the 100-foot road in Hambantota. Elephant relocation missions continued in Hambantota today as well. Authorities also deployed officials to prevent wild elephants from returning to areas densely populated by humans. The authorities leading the mission aim to drive all wild elephants to the Hambantota Elephant Management Reserve within a span of 21 days. In the meantime, a mission to chase away wild elephants in several areas within the Batiklo district was conducted by the Department of Wildlife Conservation last night.
Now in your business news, Deputy Minister of Industry and Entrepreneurship Development Chaturanga Besingha claims that Sri Lanka's manufacturing sector is adversely affected by strict lending practices followed by commercial banks in granting loans to farmers. He made these remarks while addressing an event in Colombo.
A special program aimed at reducing post-harvest losses through the use of advanced agricultural equipment manufactured in Germany was held in Colombo yesterday. The event showcased innovative machinery designed to improve efficiency and minimize waste in the agricultural sector. Deputy Minister of Industry and Entrepreneurship Development Chaturanga Abesingha graced the occasion.
I believe the leading companies in the country have extended their support for this initiative. The banking sector should also provide the necessary support to enhance and advance the agricultural sector through the utilization of this technology. Currently, our banks require land and other collateral to support loan applications made by farmers. I believe it is time they consider the country itself as collateral. When technology capable of transforming our nation arrives, if the banks do not provide the necessary capital, we will be unable to move forward due to financial constraints. The banking sector also has the responsibility of mitigating the loss caused by the government's decision to abolish the SWAT scheme.
The second session of the Joint Commission between Sri Lanka and the United Arab Emirates successfully concluded in Colombo yesterday. The session was co-chaired by Sri Lanka's Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Employment, Arun Hemachandra, and the UAE's Visiting Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Saeed bin Mubarak Al-Hajeri.
In his opening remarks, Deputy Minister Arun Hemachandra underscored the establishment of the Sri Lanka-UAE Joint Commission marks a significant milestone in the partnership between the two countries. The discussions during the second session provided a valuable opportunity to review ongoing cooperation and explore new avenues in key areas such as trade, investment, labour and other fields of mutual interest. Deputy Minister Hemachandra highlighted the importance of further consolidating economic and trade relations, noting that the two countries had during the year concluded two landmark agreements, the Agreement on the Promotion and Protection of Investments and the Memorandum of Understanding on the establishment of the UAE-Sri Lanka Joint Business Council. UAE State Minister Saeed bin Mubarak Al-Hajeri welcomed the elevation of the bilateral relationship in the past few months and expressed keen interest in focusing on enhanced trade and tourism cooperation, including infrastructure development targeting high-end tourism from the UAE. He conveyed willingness to further step up cooperation in energy, investments, financial services and textiles and noted the importance of diversifying economic cooperation. The third session of the Sri Lanka-UAE Joint Commission is scheduled to be held in Abu Dhabi.
The Ministry of Ports and Civil Aviation announces that ship inspections commenced at the Colombo East Container Terminal yesterday. Accordingly, containers were unloaded from two ships owned by MSC Shipping Services, MSC Manasa and MSC China. With the construction completed so far, containers can be unloaded from two ships simultaneously and the unloading is carried out using an automated mechanism. 80% of the construction of the terminal has been completed so far, including a 900-meter jetty. The construction of the terminal is set to be fully completed in the final quarter of 2026 and container operations will be launched partially until then. That's all for tonight from First at 9. Thank you. Have a great night.